Okay, we'll call to order this July the 3rd, 2019 meeting of the Franklin County Commission. Roll call.
Commissioner Stottlemyre.
Present.
Commissioner Waymire. Chair Howard.
Present.
Vice Chair Dickinson.
Present.
Commissioner Dunn.
Present.
If you'd all stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and please remain standing for the invocation that will be led by Pastor Jessica Hanks of the First Baptist Church. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Would you pray with me? Holy God, we give you gratitude for this day. We give you thanks for all of those who've gathered together in this room. Lord, we ask your blessings upon them. Be with those today, Lord, who bring business to this space. Be with our leaders, God, as they make decisions. Give them wisdom and pour out your blessings upon them. We give you thanks and we give you praise. Lord, hear our prayers. Amen.
Thank you, Jessica. Okay. Anything on correspondence and organizational business? Takes us to public comment. We do have some signed up, don't we, Jen? Okay, a citizen desiring to speak on an item not on the agenda may do so at this time. Discussion is limited to 5 minutes, and the commission will not take action or discuss items at this time. Discussion should be limited to matters of county commission business, and public comment is not permitted in regard to personnel matters or on pending legal matters. Items introduced under public comment may become agenda items at a later date.
James Wallace.
I'm hoping most of this will be covered when David talks. But, the $1.5 million for the 750 feet of gravel is between 59 Highway and Kingman Road, I think. I was wondering if that includes any stop signs, stop lights, or turn lanes. And does the state decide if the project needs the stop lights, stop signs, or turn lanes, or is it the county? And if the county requests the stop lights, etc., at a later date, or if the state decides stop lights, stop signs, etc., are needed, who has to pay for that? And it says that we had professional engineering consultants do the engineering and will be doing the inspection service. I was wondering if anyone, or who is that something that is bid on, and who decides on which engineering consultant to use? And if there was anyone not qualified to do the bridge or road inspection that works for the county. That's all I got.
Norman Woogie.
Norman Woogie, 3790 Pawnee Road, Ottawa, Kansas. This day is July 3rd, 2019. Tomorrow is the 4th of July. The 4th of July has different meanings to different people. For sure, it is Independence Day in America. Independence from an unfair government. Last Sunday at our church, a teacher spoke of freedom. Freedom in his presentation was mentioned many times, probably about 20. We do have reason to celebrate that day. Amendments, the Bill of Rights, gives us protection from the government. When I hear the noise, the firecrackers, I take that noise as a symbol that we sometimes have to make a noise to be heard. That is our right. No ban shall abridge the freedom of speech or the news media. To quote, the Supreme Court has held that restrictions on speech because of content, that is, when the government targets the speaker's message, generally violates the First Amendment. Last week before the Wednesday meeting, a close county employee advisor to the commission violated these rules ethically and maybe illegally. He had no right to approach me, trying to intimidate me in a combative tone. When he saw that he could not control me, he went to the police person, violating the ethics of his code he must adhere to. He is obligated to remain civil. I will not attend any more meetings during the month of July this year, not because of pressure from anyone, but to find out what the problem is with this commission. Have a happy 4th of July and enjoy the noise and the fireworks.
Okay. Takes us to the consent agenda. Items today that need considered and approved on the consent agenda are the Franklin County Commission study session minutes for June the 24th and June the 25th, the commission meeting minutes for June the 26th, and claim vouchers in the amount of $257,396.75, and approve the payroll for the pay period of May the 21st, 2019 through June the 20th, 2019 in the amount of $1,239,512.92. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion to approve. Second.
Commissioner Stottlemyre?
Yes.
Commissioner Dickinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Dunn?
Yes.
Chair Howard?
Yes. Okay, takes us to items of business. The first item today is discuss need for additional funding for the 2019 calendar year, the East Central Kansas Area Agency on Aging. Elizabeth.
Good morning. Generally, I don't come asking for money. So this is a tough call for us this year. As you know, last September, Mid-American Nutrition Program basically went bankrupt. They couldn't pay their bills anymore, so we had to decide what to do to provide meals for the elderly in all 6 of the counties that we service. We went out for bid to see if there were other companies that could provide that service at a lesser cost than what we would do it if we had to do it ourselves. Those bids came back higher than what we felt we could do it ourselves, so we took on the project ourselves. We've been doing that since the 1st of October. We've done a real good job, I think, getting a handle on the expenses of the program now. We've cut personnel. Our 2 big costs are personnel and raw food. We've cut back on personnel. We assumed a lot of the administrative overhead through the area agencies, administrative funding, got it out of the nutrition program funding so that we could take that money, put it directly into the meals program. And then we have struggled, but I think we've got a pretty good handle now on raw food costs. I think we've got it down to something that's probably as affordable as it's ever going to be. But in the end, besides looking at expenses, you have to look at revenue. And when I was looking at revenue and we were redoing our budget, we get one chance to revise our budget with the state, and that happened this past month. Looking at that, we were, in one category, we were about 30,000 short of what we projected, and that is the project income. And project income is that money that the people themselves who get the meals, that they actually donate back for the meals. And the meals program, because it's a federal program, it's strictly donations. So if a person doesn't want to give anything, they can get the meal basically for free. We do ask for a donation, and we hope we get those donations because, again, that helps fund the program. But a lot of the people that we service are simply lower income people who really do need to eat. So again, it's a federal program, strictly donation program, has nothing to do with income level, but we're about 30,000 short. When my board met a couple weeks ago, they made the decision that to help fill that gap, I would go to each of my 6 counties, divide 30,000 by 6, and ask each county for an additional $5,000 for the year that we're currently in. It's Franklin County and Miami County are my 2 biggest counties. So in terms of proportion, that would not be your proportion. If I would have percentaged it out, it would be more than that I'd be asking for. But we felt with $30,000 is just, we'll make this a simple one. So that's one of my requests is for the year that we're currently in. And then you can certainly ask me questions about that, but then I also want to talk a little bit about 2020 and where we're kind of headed with that. So questions about where we are right now. Our budget year ends September 30th. So we have a pretty good handle on how much we're going to be spending since we only have 3 months left in our year.
The money that we do for our community partners for that area, that pretty much just goes to the, to subsidize the vehicle transportation, is that correct? Do we, do we give money to the meal?
Yes.
We do?
We do.
Okay.
The way we've always requested funding, both for the nutrition program as well as the area agency on aging for our homemaker attendant care, those types of services, is we go through elderly services.
Yeah.
And that's where my understanding is your mill levy goes. And then we just put in a request to them. And I'm not asking that $5,000 be taken away from anybody else because all those services are extremely important. Transportation definitely important. So this is just a request for an additional $5,000 outside of that.
Well, it's kind of we don't normally do this, but this is kind of a unique situation in my opinion for the fact that you took over the project that you hadn't been doing in the past. Whenever the others went bankrupt, you took it over. So this may be a case of kind of feeling out exactly what's coming in and where you're at on it, I guess. It's a new project you're kind of doing, but $30,000 seems like a lot of money for donations to cover that.
To come in short.
Even with 6 counties, I mean.
Well, and I can tell you, it's mainly in the homebound program. We separate out our costs, the congregate program where people come into the nutrition sites, that's one budget. And then the homebound program where we actually do the meal delivery. And it's the homebound program that we're averaging less than $1 a meal on. And our meals cost $6 to prepare, and that includes everything, all staffing, delivery, food vans, the whole thing. It's about $6 a meal, so you can see when it comes in under $1 and you had budgeted closer to $1.50, and then the more meals you serve, the more you get in debt because the people that you're servicing aren't donating, but yet they need to eat. So we're kind of in a downward spiral, I think, right now in terms of educating people on the importance of donations, and that's one of I just had a meeting yesterday, and we're really going to try to do a better job of making sure everyone, not only the people who receive the meals, but their family members, understand it's not a federally funded fully meals program. There is expected to be local support, including those donations. So, and trying to make sure families understand that when we provide the meal for your grandmother or your mom, then that frees up your time that you can then go to your job. You don't have to hop out of it at noontime, take your lunch hour to come fix lunch for mom. We're providing a service to those family members too. So, yeah, it's definitely an area we're going to work on.
Have you went to any of the other counties yet, or are we the first one?
Nope, I've been to Lynn County and Osage County. They both agreed to give me the $5,000. I'm just in the process trying to get on everyone's agendas right now.
I've been delivering meals for a lot of years, and I know it's been kind of, ever since they had to close the senior center, it's been hard, I think, and it seems like it's harder, and sometimes I'm not sure I like everything that's going on, but I'm like, you know what, I'm just doing it for the seniors. But I deliver to 9, actually every Wednesday, and there's very few of those that I feel probably can pay for their meals. And it's not just delivering the meals, it's that knocking on the door every day, making sure they're all right. So, yeah, to me, it's important, the meals are.
I think the other piece of that too is we don't just deliver meals within the communities where you have boundaries. We have a lot of our van drivers who are dropping meals off on their way to. Like Merle is our van driver who actually ends up in Osage, but he goes through Pomona. So he goes out in the country around Pomona and drops off hot meals every day. It really takes him out of his way, and it costs us a lot to run a van out there. But again, you find people out in the rural areas, which is what we are, and it costs money to do
You
it.
have
So-
now, does the Williamsburg have meals?
Uh-huh,
At the
they do have
community building?
meals, yes.
Are there any other communities?
Richmond has a site. Let me think, who's in Franklin County? Richmond has a site, Sunflower Plaza. We have a site in there. Lane has a site, and Wellsville. And then now on Wednesdays, out at the Radish Patch, we're doing meals out there. So we're hoping to get that started again.
Does anybody have any more questions on the situation for 2019? If not, we'll just see what the.
I just want to say, it's very fortunate that got a grant to purchase the building out there, the North Industrial Park, and I don't know what it'd be like if we didn't get that building for the area agency. And Elizabeth shared the numbers with me, what it actually costs for a meal, and like she said, what donations come back in. There's a big disparity, and Franklin County has the biggest use of the program, and I don't know if it's increasing or decreasing as far as the number of meals.
It's increasing right now. But
Increasing.
mainly those rural ones, not within our towns. So my expensive ones are increasing, but that's okay. It's where the greatest need is.
Why don't you give us a little update on what you plan for 2020? And then
Okay, 2020, all right. In 2020, the other thing my board decided, well, it was 2 years ago, Lynn County Commissioners came to me and said, we hear from talking with some of the other commissioners that we're paying a lot more than our fair share of county dollars for the number of meals that we're getting. And that's when Mid-America was running the program. And I said, well, I don't know. I'll go find out for you. So I did. And they were right. Based on a fair share, based on the percentage of meals, for some reason that county was paying about double the funds that they would have been paying if it would have been based on a fair share. So that kind of got Mid-America into the thinking of, wonder what the fair share is for everybody. But it never went anywhere. Well, come back to us now where we really do want to stay in business and we really do want to continue to serve everybody we're serving. My board said, okay, right now, take a look at the meals that you're currently serving. What would be the fair share for each county based on that percentage of meals? So that's what I did. Lynn County cut our money $25,000. So that was just like a hunk that came out right off the top. So that was bad at the time. But I looked at the fair share, and Franklin County does serve the most meals. You're projected to serve 48,000, or a little over 48,000 meals. So that's about 27% of all the meals that are being served in the 6 counties. And we do Anderson, Coffee, Franklin, Lynn, Miami, and Osage. So the Miami's my second largest. You and Miami County don't even come close to doing your fair share based on percentage of meals. So anyway, my board said go to each one of the counties that is not paying their fair share and share with them what those numbers would be. Right now, what you currently have budgeted through the elderly services for the elderly. Why do I always forget what that's called? Services for the elderly. We get $41,900. If you based it on the percentage of meals that you're projected to serve out of the total, it would be $66,500. So it's a considerable difference.
Right at $25,000.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's a considerable difference. So when looking at your 2020 budget, I just want to put that out in front of you, that while we appreciate the $41,900, if there is any other funding that can be available for next year, then we would greatly appreciate you at least working your way towards the $66,500. Aside from that, I am going to each county and I am telling them at least what their fair share is, and then obviously it's up to commissioners to do that. But whatever we come in short next year, then we'll figure out a way to either make it work, or we'll end up cutting services. But our goal is not to cut services. We just, again, we're rural. It's just not a good thing to cut services for people. So we're just out there, right at this point, just letting you know what the facts are. I obviously don't have any idea how that fits into your overall county budget. And like I say, I don't want it taken away from any of the other elderly services. That'd be counterproductive. But I do want to make you aware of how underfunded you are percentage-wise versus my other counties.
Questions on that?
If approved, where would this be taken from? If approved?
Well, it'd be out of the general fund. I mean, it would just be the allotment that we normally give to our community partners. You know, the 5,000 this year, I don't find problematic at all. And if you want to agree to the 25,000 for 20, I mean, we still have time to do that. I would probably want to see the numbers just to verify that that's what the percentage is. And we could certainly budget for it if that was the decision that the board made. I would say that, you know, if it is our fair share, one way of looking at it is the citizens of Franklin County have been benefiting for the last, I don't know, so
20 years.
yeah, so many years, because we haven't been paying maybe the share that we should have been. So I would also tell you that one thing that we learned with CASA was that when we pitched in, when we pitched anything in, but when we pitched in and donated to them, the other counties also did the same. And there might be other effects. If we pay our fair share, it might cause Lynn and Anderson and some of the smaller ones to say, you know what, Franklin County is bucking up, taking care of their share. It might lead to even more funding for them. So I don't, you guys give Janet and I the direction, and if we need to budget for it, we certainly can. I don't think we need to know today on the 2020. I mean, we have enough flexibility there, but certainly we could make it happen, so.
I definitely feel that this is a service we do not want to cut. We need to take care of our elderly and whatever. I like the idea of you stepping up the meeting with family members and whatever about maybe to donate a little more, or to donate something at least, if the ones that can and aren't, and hopefully they will step up also. But I think, in my opinion, it's something we need to look at. If it's going to take budgeting more for this, it's a service we don't want to lose. So
I think that we give more to like the COF agency than we do to, and I think that this actually probably affects more people countywide.
Can I ask a question about that really fast? So you said that, and I've known this to be true, but I don't know exactly how it happens in your world. So we give the money to services for the elderly, and they give a portion to you guys. So how do they decide how much money to give to you? I mean, if they come and they ask us for $210,000 and we say we're not going to increase you this year, we're going to give you $201,000, then how does so if we give them 210, do you get all that excess, or I mean, how do they
No,
decide that?
they have their own budget committee, and they then make a determination on how that money gets split up. And when the budget stayed kind of flat, then everybody just kind of gets what everybody's been getting. If you have an increase or a decrease, then they start looking at, well, who can we take it from? Do we do it straight across the board? And who do we give it to? Do we up everybody across the board? So it's really up to their.
So budget-wise for us, like, how does that work? Do we have, I mean, if this commission decides to give you more money for the 2020 year, and we're giving it through Services for the Elderly, do we have to tell Services for the Elderly, we're giving you $201,000 to go evenly among your people, and we're allotting this much more to go to the meals program? Or I mean, do you guys stand to
Yeah.
risk losing some additional funding from them and them kind of, I mean, I'm just worried that if this commission in 2020 decides to give you more money, that you're not going to get the money, that someone else is going to get the money.
No, I think if you ran it through them, it's just a matter of saying, this is how much money you anticipated going to the area agency to pay for the meals program. Because we also, when they do their budget, they have one line for the meals program and then one line for other services that we provide. So you also wouldn't want your nutrition money going to pay for housekeeping and bathing. So I think it would just be a matter of designating to them that that's where the money's supposed to go. That, I mean, that group's made up of representatives from every community, and they're in it for the same reason we all are, is to see how many people we can get service. So I just think you make the designation, and they would certainly abide by that.
I think if the commission wanted to, we could certainly have a representative from that budget board or whatever you called them come in, and we could all talk about it, just to have them in the picture as well. And just, I mean, the 2020 money, there's no time crunch necessarily on that. We can still finalize a budget and have the flexibility to potentially do that, but it might be worth that conversation to have them in here and figure out how is that money allocated between the various services. You could always approve the 5,000 today, and then we could set up a follow-up meeting to discuss the 25 for 2020. So.
Right. Okay, if there's no more questions on this, look for a motion to approve the 5,000 additional money for 2019.
My uncle helped start this 20-some years ago, Glenn Stottlemyre, and I know it's, so I've got to see a lot of it over my life, even when I wasn't. And I know he would, if he thought, you know, and I think all these years, I think they've really made an effort to make it, you know, and it just ain't. Something happened, like with a lot of other things. I'd like to make a motion to approve the 5,000.
I would second that.
Commissioner Dickinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Dunn?
Yes.
Commissioner Stottlemyre?
Yes.
Chair Howard?
Yes. Good. Thank you, Elizabeth.
Thank you very much.
Talking to you more about the
All right,
2020.
and I'll get you numbers.
Okay. Agenda takes us to the second item. Consider executing the US 59 and Kingman Road intersection improvement project contract with Ham Incorporated in the amount of $1,580,846.26. David.
Commissioners, if you recall, back in February, we brought this project to you for approval to solicit bids. We opened those bids in May, and then on the 5th, we awarded the contract. We accepted those bids. Ham Inc. was the low bidder at that $1.5 million mark. And today we're here. We've got all the KDOT contracts ready to go in the project manual, and we just need to execute that contract. And if you all recall, this project is associated with the Proximity Park project. Several years ago, we initiated a traffic study that indicated the improvements that we're getting ready to construct right now. So this project, again, consists of turning lanes in both directions. So there'd be if you're going northbound, there would be a right turn lane onto Kingman. There would be a left turn lane onto Kingman going westbound, and then there would be a through lane. You'd have the same coming south. And so this project alone makes that particular intersection a much, much safer situation. As a part of this, we're going to run conduit because we anticipate, based on the traffic study that we conducted a few years ago, that once development occurs within Proximity Park, the number of vehicles using that intersection will increase. Therefore, that will necessitate signalization of that intersection. Currently, our traffic counts don't warrant that, so that's why we don't have traffic signals there today as a part of this project. So it's just turning lanes, but we are going to run the conduit because we do anticipate someday, hopefully soon, that will warrant an upgrade, another upgrade. I have been in communication with KDOT. They are aware that, if another project occurs, that this will need to be upgraded, and they are supportive of that. And so we will remain in contact with them and let them know how things are going. I imagine that when that day comes, there will be additional dollars available through KDOT to help us with that endeavor once it occurs. Today, because of our bid of 1.5, the construction will be totally funded by KDOT. They have awarded us $1.7 million, so essentially will be a pass-through expense situation for us. We'll get an invoice, we'll submit an invoice to KDOT, we'll get reimbursed and be able to pay our bills that way. The construction administration, inspection, and surveying, all of those services were part of the overall Bartlett West contract that was awarded, I don't know if it was early last year or late in 2017. I'm not sure on the timing there, but so all of those dollars are accounted for already. And so PEC, through that contract with Bartlett West, will be handling those particular services. They did the design on this and they are the logical folks to do the inspection work. So all of that is set up. We're going to issue notice to proceed on Friday of this week, although the contractor is not planning to start until, I think, after July 22nd. We'll have a pre-con meeting and then they'll get started. The reason for the delay, they have their subcontractor that's going to take care of the asphalt. They won't be able to get to the project until early August, and so they didn't want to open everything up and then let it sit, waiting on the asphalt contractor to be ready for us. So they pushed back their start time to more closely align with that. It'll make for a little better project. They still have the same number of working days that are allowed in the project manual. So we should be substantially complete by Thanksgiving of this year, hopefully sooner, but that's kind of the timeline. And I'd be happy to answer any questions, but really it's a the contract and whatnot is KDOT language. They use it on all their projects, but we'll need to formally execute that so that we can issue the notice to proceed and those things.
I think I would add, and David kind of touched on this a little bit, but the bulk of this money is obviously coming to us through KDOT. I know the public's seen a lot of large numbers with regard to Proximity Park, but I think the important thing to remember is that this is all, we've issued the bonds for this project. The project has, through those bonds, already been paid for. So in other words, I have heard the occasional concern about, well, our taxes are going to go up because of Proximity Park. Well, if that were going to happen, it already would have, because we already issued those bonds. And so we have the money that is going to hopefully carry this project through to completion. We haven't raised taxes because of it. I don't anticipate ever having to raise taxes because of proximity parks. So these numbers have already been budgeted for, so these are things we've talked about for several years now. We're just finally seeing them come through the pipe and come to fruition, so.
More questions for David?
Would the, who is performing all of it? Would KDOT be performing the construction?
No, it's a KDOT-funded project. We are administering the project. The consultant, professional engineering consultants who did the design on the project, they will be inspecting the project and doing the construction staking. They've got KDOT certified inspectors that will follow their protocols and be on site every day while the contractor's on site. And so they will act as our representative on site to make sure that the project is constructed per the design plan and the project manual.
They got a completion date they have to follow?
It'll be around Thanksgiving will be substantial, and then a couple of weeks after that for any punch list items that we see on our final walkthrough. It'll give them a couple of weeks after that to do any cleanup work, address any items that we may have. Again, it's all pretty standard stuff, but we do believe it will be done during this construction season.
Is there a reason to go with asphalt instead of concrete on this part of it?
Well, we're trying to, the 59 was just recently overlaid, I believe last summer. So we are trying to keep and utilize as much of that asphalt as we can. And so the concrete will be connecting from 59 to the end of where the new Kingman Road is. That will be concrete filling in there. And I believe that, I'm not sure. I'll have to look back at the plans. I can't recall if the westbound Kingman will be concrete or not, but so the primary reason to leave it asphalt is to utilize what's there, so we don't run into additional costs. We also, as one cost-saving measure, the Kingman Road and Montana Road project, part of that project called for putting temporary asphalt from where they left off with the concrete up to where 59 is, to that intersection, as a temporary measure. I didn't feel like it was prudent to lay that temporary asphalt just to tear it up a month or two later, based on the timeline of when that project ended and when this one's getting ready to start. I didn't want to spend those dollars, so we left it rock, but that will be concrete up to the intersection as a part of this intersection project.
Okay, if there's no more questions, I would look for a motion to execute the US 59 and Kingman Road intersection improvement project with Ham Incorporated in the amount of $1,580,846.26.
I would make that motion.
Motion, is there a second?
Second?
Commissioner Dunn?
Yes.
Commissioner Stottlemyre?
Yes.
Commissioner Dickinson?
Yes.
Chair Howard?
Yes. Okay, that's all items of business we have today. That takes us to staff reports. Derek?
Yeah, the budget is coming along pretty well. Just spoke with Janet about that yesterday, and she could probably give you more detail at this juncture, but I don't think that we've seen anything that surprises us yet, so still optimistic that this is going to turn out well. We've talked about this before, but I'll say it again, I am somewhat disturbed by a trend, and it's not just in Franklin County, it's not just in Kansas, it is nationwide, regarding commercial properties and their values continuing to come down. We have part of American Eagle that's coming off the books this year, and just their value. I mean, we're still in a good spot, make no mistake, but it's not what we thought it was going to be. And it's, we've just seen over and over the Board of Tax Appeals continuing to lower these commercial values. And it hurts organizations. We're fortunate in Franklin County because our tax base is primarily residential and it's very solid, but you get up into like Wyandotte County and it's really ravaging them up there. It's a real problem. And so I would say that's something that I'm not particularly pleased with, but then I don't know. Nobody knows what the solution is. Again, that's kind of a nationwide issue. But we'll work through that. Otherwise, things are looking great, coming along well. We have started the process for the next tax sale. We've sent out letters, an initial letter to all of the owners that are on the list. Had a great response to that. A lot of them came in and paid their back taxes, so that was magnificent. Out of courtesy, we're going to send a second notice as well before any action is taken. Just, I like to err on the thorough side with them, give them multiple notices. Hey, your property's going to go to sale. And even once the process starts, it can still be redeemed, but the second notices will go out this week, and I'll keep you informed on where we go from there. So, I don't know beyond that I have too much to report. So,
Sheriff?
Monday night, first Monday of the month is always a very busy time for us with all the city council meetings. And since they're all at the same time, I'm only able to attend one of those three, so we send people to the other ones. And I don't have reports necessarily on those, but I wanted to let the board know that at the Pomona council meeting that their longtime councilman, Jerry Johnson, resigned that night and was recognized for his service over there. He's been good to work with from my perspective as well, and but we wish him the best of luck and wanted you guys to know that he has resigned. Rick Smith has already been appointed to fill that spot, and I've already met with him. One of the things that they're working on is some fixes to a couple of their city ordinances that will make things a little bit easier on the enforcement side of things, and to address some concerns they have in their community. So we are working together on those things, and I just wanted to give you guys an update on that. As you know, we've just had some retirements, so we've got some hiring processes going on, and we're plugging away and staying busy, but it may be a long process going through all this when we got 4 positions to fill. So we are advertising for all those spots and working with HR and getting those things accomplished. So other than that, if you guys have any questions for me, I would happily answer those.
How do you respond to fireworks complaints?
Where would that be?
How do you respond?
If it's a fireworks display out in the county, it's not a crime. And
How do you
so,
respond to the complaint itself? Say, tough luck? Or
no,
Somebody
we,
calls at 2 in the morning and says it's too loud.
yeah, we would, and there's no noise ordinance in the county. And so we would just explain those things to them. Lots of times we get those complaints with someone that is new, a new resident, because they have moved from Johnson County or Douglas County where there's not near as much freedom. And so, was that an inappropriate way to say that? But anyway, we explained to them that, what our laws are here and what our rules are. And we try to, if somebody's being out of control, we'll talk to them to say, you're disturbing your neighbors. But as far as an enforcement type action, if they're not doing anything illegal, there's nothing for us to do on that. So we have ensured that our staff has the city ordinances from the cities because sometimes a city may have a little different rule. The only city we can enforce those in is Pomona, because they're the only one we have a contract with. So we have all their updated city ordinances to ensure that we are enforcing those appropriately. But they are legal. If you can sell them in the state of Kansas, then you can shoot them off all of those days in Pomona. So yeah, for us, it hasn't really been an issue.
Only issue I have is the littering. The patriotic things, and then they litter, leave everything behind.
I understand. Yeah, I do understand that. I do understand that. And that's kind of a separate issue, but I agree with that.
If you could invent biodegradable fireworks, you might have something there.
Burn them all.
Thank you, Sheriff. David, anything else?
Okay, Commissioners, again, almost all of our work continues to be for flood-related. We are trying to do this in a methodical approach. When we jump around from site to site, it makes us a little bit more inefficient, although we are trying to do both. So we've got a small group that is jumping around to these dangerous areas to try to get those taken care of. But the magnitude of what we're looking at is still fairly significant, so it's going to be a considerable amount of time until we're going to feel comfortable saying our roads are back together again. So we continue to work on that. I continue to meet with landowners on a fairly regular basis to look at their issues and try to resolve the things that they're dealing with. I met with some folks last week regarding a creek bank that's eroding, and so we're going to take some measures to get that stabilized so that in future flooding events, which there will be someday additional, hopefully we will have taken care of an issue and saved that particular area. So that sort of thing is both myself and Jeff and Ryan continue to do those things almost on a daily basis, visiting with folks. I certainly talk to people on the phone regularly to hear them and understand their situation and try to direct the resources appropriately. Idaho Road, which last week I was showing you some pictures of that. We hope to begin reconstructing that next week sometime, and that's what we're anticipating. We've got our bridge consultant has given us some direction on how that should be handled, and so we feel like we can do all of the work with the exception of relaying the new asphalt, and we'll work with a local company hopefully to get that taken care of. So those are the things that we've got going on right now. I'll probably sound like a broken record for the next into this fall. So again, I would encourage folks, if they have questions or concerns, to reach me at the office, 229-3550. And if they've placed a work order already, I would ask that they try to be patient. We have written over 700 work orders already this year. And so that's a tall order, but we are working as hard and fast as we can. And if you have any questions about that, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
I think we've went over this a time or two. Jeff?
As Derek said, we're just working away on the budget, trying to get it all into the state budget worksheets. I did send you guys some answers to questions that you asked during the budget study session, so I just encourage you, if you have any more questions as you guys continue to look through the budget or get questions from citizens, send those my way and I'm happy to answer them for you.
With that, it takes us to commissioner comments and board reports. Who wants to start?
Yeah, I'm not the county representative on the Food Policy Council, but I am a member. And I think there's something going on with that right now that I'd like to announce. That I think I mentioned before that they was going to start a food pantry out of Central Heights. Well, Amanda now that was going to run that for us, Steinball, is teaching in Ottawa. So we've moved our location for the main headquarters of that. It will be out of Ottawa now. And starting in August, we're going to start making deliveries on Tuesdays. And starting out in Ottawa, Princeton, and Richmond, got designated spots at each one. It won't be like Harvesters. There'll be actually, I got the numbers, I'll give this, we can post it out here, that you can contact the people that'll just receive the food. It'll be already pre-packaged when it gets to the site. You won't get in the line and this, and this. It'll already be kind of like Hope House does down here. It's already pre-boxed and packaged for that person. And we'll have volunteers that'll make the deliveries, and they'll be there about 6:30, and then at 7 o'clock, they're gonna leave. I mean, you got that 30-minute period in there for the people to pick up their food. Like I said, we're starting out kind of at a small, we got plenty of food on hand, plenty of donations, and I'll let them post this out on the board out when we come in the front door. If anybody's interested, Amanda Steinball, and I got her number and everything here. And so she's getting us, doing the most of the legwork for us and getting us off the ground for us. So I went to the Wellsville City meeting. Main thing, there's a lot of small things, but the main thing that concerns us, they did approve the contract for the project that we decided to help with up there. Kellogg got the bid to do that project, $105,000. I think the engineer, if I'm right, was around 100, and they added 2,000 to that to make it 105. Actually, it was 103 for the bonding on it. It wasn't required, but they thought it'd be better if they did. So it was approved, and they're going to be moving forward with that really shortly. The buildings up there are coming up really fast. It's almost like they got a construction crew on each building. I know it's all the same people, but I think they're just doing it in rotation. They do this and then go to this, and they just making. So all three buildings up there, the school, the truck wash, and the convenience center, truck stop, are all going up pretty fast. I went to the Rantoul City meeting, and they just had their audit done and approved. They just renewed their contract with the rural fire department. They used their part of their building down there for their firehouse at City Hall. They voted to pass several new ordinances, and I'll kind of get into why they kind of updated here in a second. They voted to join the Area Town Coalition, and I don't know how many all of them have already voted. I know I'll go to the lane next Monday night to find out, but I know they've all the towns that did go together. I know Rantoul approved to go with that, and that is a enforcement ordinances. They voted to retain a ordinance enforcer, which will work for all the towns. And I think they did a smart thing. They actually hired a person that doesn't live in the county. I mean, so he doesn't, I think maybe that'll help a little bit. You're going into smaller towns. It's somebody with law background, retired, but he doesn't have a direct connection where he's at. They voted to retain Judge Kimball. He'll be their ordinance judge for all those towns that do work with it. So it seems like they're moving along in pretty good order. And they did update some of their regulations because they figured now maybe they'll be able to actually enforce them. Like I've always had trouble. All the little towns you can go to, they all have the same thing. They all have the dog problems. They have the noise problems. And so they're hoping that maybe having an outside and having their own person to any work on call. It's not that he's there all the time. He'll get a call from the mayor or the council and report the incidents, and then he'll just go on scene and check it all out and find out the issues and what's going on. So sounds like that's going to be a good deal for them. Oh, one other thing with Rantoul, not as a commissioner, but I did visit a commissioner, but with RC&D, we're helping them with two grants right now. I think I mentioned here a while back, and I did get a letter from the Pathways that they do have some money, more money available. So we're applying for completely redo the restrooms in the park. They're in bad shape. And then we're also, as a sidebar, we're going to apply for some money for new playground equipment for the park. So that's where we're at.
Friday, I went to Chamber Coffee at the Trio Educational Center, which is located in the ECAN building. It's really something I did not realize that we had that opportunity. They work with kids as young as middle age to kind of help them prepare to, as they move past high school, you know, whether it's a VOTEC school or college, or they like to concentrate like on low-income kids or kids who maybe have never had a family member that went to college. But they also work with adults who maybe are in a dead-end job or have decided that maybe they do want to go back to school, and then they help them to. There's one in Leavenworth County and also one in Ottawa County, in Franklin County. And then I went on Monday night, I went to the Princeton City Council meeting. It was kind of a long meeting, but the biggest takeaways were Blaine Finch was there, they did have a hearing and move forward with the condemnation of a property. They talked about codes enforcement too, and I think that's something they're gonna move forward with, but they have some questions that they still have an answer with. They did vote to, I believe it'll be on the November ballot, to move forward with to request a 1% citywide sales tax. And then a lot of the time was spent on their playground, which hopefully, weather cooperating, will go in Saturday. So if you don't have anything to do at 7 in the morning on Saturday, I'm sure that they would love to have all of the help that they can get. I did get word this morning early that City Commissioner Tom Wigan's wife passed away. And then one other thing, and it's not a department that we usually talk about, and I'm kind of glad that our appraiser does not make the news every night. Values went up, but none of them went up 900%. I mean, I think that our department does a great job, and I'm just going to commend them that their values are fair. And anyway, just glad that we aren't making the news, and I just want to give them a hand.
I want to express my appreciation for Tammy and everybody else that helped with the employee appreciation luncheon last Friday. I was unable to make it to the luncheon, so thanks for you guys backing me up there.
It was very good, and I heard a lot of positive comments on it. They kind of knocked it out of the park on that one, so, good job.
Also, there's a lot of Chautauqua Days here tomorrow in Ottawa, and then there's some outstanding fireworks displays either tomorrow night or when's Lane's or Rantools? When's it?
It was last Saturday night.
It was last Saturday night?
Yeah.
Oh,
There's always a Saturday before the 4th to keep away from. It was great. And the thing is, they might have to start backing away, and it's getting a little bit, you're close.
So be careful out there, shooting fireworks and stuff. That's all.
Okay, I have not been to any meetings since our last meeting, so with that, we have a study session on July the 8th. We have a commission meeting on July the 10th. Tomorrow is the county holiday, so have fun and be safe. You gonna talk to the KOFO, or being we're all gone, or?
I can call them and let them know that I got a message from them. They might already be aware of that, but yeah, I'll reach out to them today and talk to Brad about that.
Okay. It's all I have. If nothing else, I look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.